Full card predictions for UFC 317. As always, you can call me Kunith. Let's make some money this week. Lightweight gold on the line at the top of the card in the 2025 Aura Bowl between the unstoppable Ilia Topuria moving up to 155 for good, maybe beyond. Looking to capture gold in another division here, and it's going to be a tall order against Charles do Bronx, who's looking to put hands and feet on him right away. You see the odds on the screen. Obviously, they're a bit wide, and it kind of goes without saying that Charles Oliveira is live against anybody, given how dangerous he is. You don't have the most finishes in UFC history without being a bad man. So we have to acknowledge and respect that you could never totally count him out, but I think the writing's on the wall for this one. We all kind of know how it's going to go. Ilia Topuria said, I'm going to touch his chin and it's going to explode. I think that's exactly what happens. I don't think he's wrong about that. I don't think it's crazy to call Ilia Topuria the biggest puncher at 155 pounds right now. We've seen Oliveira knocked out 4 times in the UFC. We've seen him dropped by Islam, Gaethje, Poirier. Chandler had him hurt in that first fight. And he has been able to recover in a lot of these fights, but I think when Topuria connects, it's going to be a little bit different. I don't see him recovering the same way. Now, I do expect Charles to make it tough on him in the early going. There's going to be an adjustment period with that size difference. Oliveira's taller, he's longer, and he knows how to fight long as well with those teeps, the front kicks to the face, that long right hand. All those weapons could give Topuria some pause at range. And even in close, Charles Oliveira can make him pay with knees and elbows in the clinch. And I know Topuria is a big favorite here. Ultimately, the outcome justifies the price, but I think there is going to be a point in time where things get a little dicey and he's going to have to settle into the fight. His record is perfect, but guys have been able to have success against him. Max Holloway had success early. Volkanovski was doing well early in their fight. Jai Herbert took the first round off of him and nearly knocked him out with a head kick. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Oliveira do some good things in the opening round, but that's what makes Topuria special. The dude's not just a knockout artist who starches guys early round 1 and moves on. Like, we've seen him battle through adversity enough times now against the highest levels of competition, and he just takes what's his. He just takes it from these guys. And once this dude finds his range and he gets a feel for his opponent's rhythm and timing, that's when he goes. And when he's throwing 3, 4, 5 punches at a time, nobody has anything that they can do about it. I think it's a fun fight, as instant classic potential. Even if it goes under a round and a half, I still think this will be dope, but I think that Ilia Topuria knocks off another champion here. And we just see that visual of yet another legend getting tended to by the medical staff while he's walking off. It's just, this guy, the best 3-fight run we've ever seen if he gets it done the way we think he does this week. Dude's a problem. I wanted to see him fight the other guy, but give me Topuria to get it done. I expect him to win by knockout, but Topuria by sub just to prove a point wouldn't surprise me at all. So give me Ilia Topuria inside the distance. Next, we have flyweight gold on the line. Alexandre Pantoja has been active, has been dominant, has put on bangers of fights, everything you want in a champion. Now, if you watch the channel, you know that we picked Kai Kara-France to go out there and beat Steve Erceg, and boy did he. Knocks him out in the first round, and you watch that fight, the commentary team is talking about how Steve Erceg is doing everything right. They're talking about the man like he was Michael Jordan, and Kai Kara-France goes out there, puts that big power on him, knocks him out. And typically when a fighter is good to you, especially when they come through like an underdog, when they're highly doubted, you feel this special connection. So when I tell you, I was looking for every reason, every excuse, every opportunity to try to pick him to become the champion this week. I was looking for it. The search didn't bear much fruit. The reality is he's probably a bit quicker than Pantoja, but almost everybody's quicker than Pantoja, and it doesn't seem to matter. He's got power in his hands, but it's not like power he's never seen before. This is a guy who fought Kai Asakura, who's huge for the division, was thrown with a ton of power, and Pantoja just had no trouble eating those shots. This guy felt prime Davison Figueiredo's power at 125 pounds as well. So it's not like Kai Kara-France is going out there and starching guys with one shot, and Alexandre Pantoja's never seen this before. Hell, he's seen literally this. They fought before on Ultimate Fighter. Pantoja ended up winning, and I know that was a long time ago. It's a very different fight now, but I think that Pantoja just has way more ways to win. Obviously, he's got the grappling route that he can go. I know that Kai Kara-France has great takedown defense. Guys haven't really been able to take him down and keep him down, but he's also not dealing with a grappler of this caliber who does that to pretty much everybody he wants to. Also, I think that Kai Kara-France makes a really big mistake of giving up a lot of ground. Like, you watch that fight even against Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg's pressuring him for almost the entire fight, and it's all just with him moving forward, cutting off the cage, standing in front of him. He's barely even throwing anything. And Kai Kara-France is just giving him real estate, giving him real estate. Same thing with Amir Albanzi. Amir Albanzi wanted to go forward, he was allowed to. He doesn't do a good job of commanding the space, and against a guy like Pantoja, you need to take every advantage away from him as possible to give yourself an opportunity, and he's just not going to do that. Pantoja's coming right at him on a straight line, and he's going to give up that space. He's going to get pressed up against the fence, and he might not get taken down. He has really good takedown defense. That gym is known for having good takedown defense, but I think that Pantoja, where where he's going to shine is when it gets really ugly. When he's going to that clinch, when he's breaking from the clinch, when he's throwing 1, 2, 3 punches after, where he's taking one to give one. I think that Kai Kara-France looks good when things are nice, when things are technical, when he's at distance. But once it starts getting crazy and both these guys are letting their hands go at the same time, I would argue Alexandre Pantoja has more power, or he at least has a better chin. And not for nothing, because fouls don't mean anything in MMA, as we know. Don't be surprised if we see Kai Kara-France get softened up a bit by headbutts. We see that Pantoja just crashes distance all the time, and his head, like the crown of his head, is going to meet Kai Kara-France's face at some point, especially because they're the same size. This guy's been fighting really tall for the division. Brandon Moreno, Kai Asakura is a tall guy, Steve Erceg, Brandon Royval. Kara-France is around the same size, so I think when we see Alexandre Pantoja crash the pocket, there's going to be a few clash of head moments, and I think that Kai Kara-France is going to be on the bad end of those. So don't be surprised if you see him get a little stunned by something like that. But again, I was trying to find reasons. It's one of the reasons the video took a while to come out. I watched a lot of tape on both sides, just looking for where Kai Kara-France does it. Does he have faster hands? Yes. Does he have a better low kick? Yes. Is he able to kind of paw with that left hand? Yes. But at the same time, when he paws with that jab, leans over, and Pantoja's got a hell of a left hook. I just think it's a mess. I think it's a bad situation for Kai Kara-France, and not for nothing, Alexandre Pantoja at 35 still seems hungry as ever. Like, this guy does not fight like a champion who's resting on his laurels at all. Like, this guy goes out there and fights like it's the last fight he's going to have each and every time. While as for Kai Kara-France, I can't say this with any kind of certainty, but he strikes me as a kind of guy, like, you don't want the ball in his hands when it's 2 seconds left in the game and you got to make a shot. Seems to me like the kind of competitor who's like, hey, at least I got there, man. Like, I got up to the big dance. So I think Alexandre Pantoja, again, I wanted to go the other way. I just can't. The champion's too damn good. Alexandre Pantoja, I think he ends up winning inside the distance. And real quick, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm. You know how the algorithm works. Next, we got Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. I love this fight. I love the line. I love a side. You have Brandon Royval, who's fought the best fighters in the division for the last couple of years now, and the dude can do it all. He's like a cat on the mat, scrambles like scrambled eggs as quickly as anybody we've ever seen. You could jump on his neck, or he could jump on your neck. See, I'm getting scrambled even talking about him. He could jump on your neck in a flash, and on the feet, his output is absurd. The variety is there. Hand speed, timing, accuracy translate into power, and he's just so game. He's going to throw down with the guys who have big power. He's going to grapple with the wrestlers. He's going to go cardio for cardio with the guys who put a big pace on you. The dude is super impressive, and we picked him last time out against Tatsuro Taira, where he was plus 250. Wild disrespect. And now he comes into this one as an underdog again. I think it might be a little disrespectful. Why do we feel this way? Well, I got to preface by saying I think Josh Van is great. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I called him the most entertaining fighter in the UFC the other day, because that performance last time out against Bruno Silva was just chef's kiss. Absolutely broke Bruno Silva down, hurt him every round, closed him out late too. He could have just went to a decision, obviously up on the scorecards, but no, kept his foot on the gas, got him out of there. And you have to love the boxing, you have to love the balance, and you have to love the presence that he has in there when he competes. And there's not really much at all to dislike about Joshua Van. The guy's young, the guy's got hip, hands, and heart for days. Obviously super athletic as well, and that helps him keep the fight standing. And when he's standing, there aren't too many guys that are going to be giving him a lot of answers. Like, we picked Charles Johnson against him. I felt like we got kind of lucky with Charles Johnson finding that shot in the 3rd round. But before that, he was working Charles Johnson, to be fair. But my biggest issue with him this week is the turnaround time. This is the shortest turnaround time of his career, and by far the best opponent that he's seen so far. This is a big step up in competition for him. And you got Brandon Royval, who's been training for Beneil Kopp for a very long time now. Kopp and Van are different fighters, yes, but they're both guys who like to rely on their boxing primarily. So you got Brandon Royval, veteran who's been there, done that, on a full training camp, preparing against a heavy-handed striker at pick-em odds, or now better than pick-em odds at this point. All of that against a 23-year-old who just fought 3 weeks ago, there's no way. Plus, there's a grappling edge on the side of Royval. So you've got the grappling, you've got the output, you've got the preparation, you have the level of competition, and I expect him to match that high striking pace coming from Josh Van if it is high this week. We don't know what Josh Van's going to look like in the 3rd round after just competing a few weeks ago. I think he'll use his height and his reach effectively in this one, playing with that range, forcing Josh Van to close the distance quickly, making him pay for closing that distance as well. I just see a veteran performance over the young man. I think bigger moments belong to Royval. He ends up getting the dub. Give me Brandon Raw Dog by decision. And at his odds, he'll find himself on the official betting article this week that could be found on KunithMMA.com. The last couple of weeks have just been down, down, down. But that's okay, you don't panic in this game. Also, I've never had an unprofitable year since starting the website, so we get back to where we need to be. You can get the DFS strategy guide as well, data model, optimizer, projections, all of that good stuff if you play DFS. If you just want, though, the official betting article, that's on there too. That could be found on KunithMMA.com, linked in the description and in a pinned comment. If you don't want it right now, do me a favor. Go play Brandon Royval, and then when you win, you can turn around and grab a membership as a thank you. Sneaky war on our hands with Beneil Dariush fighting Renato Moicano this week, and this might be the best card of the year. If you think UFC 317 is the best card of the year, let me know in the comments. If you don't, though, let me know which one was or is. This is a fun one because both these guys are strong grapplers who have found themselves on the wrong side of some knockout losses, which makes it compelling because I think the grappling will kind of cancel each other out. I expect these two to strike. Now, who's the better striker? I would assume Beneil, right? I think he's the more dangerous striker by far. He's definitely got the heavier hands of the two, and he can place shots a little bit better than Money can, in my opinion. But Dariush hasn't looked good in years. His last win was almost 3 years ago, and in that same amount of time, Renato Moicano's gone 4-1 with that one loss coming to Islam Makhachev. Doesn't really matter. The momentum and the physical condition that these two guys have appeared to be in for the last couple of years lead me to believe that Moicano's a little bit more equipped to go to war than Dariush is at this point. And for Dariush, you've seen him have these big moments in his career. You saw that spinning back fist KO over Scott Holtzman, coming back to win against Drakkar Klose, most recently when he cracked Mateusz Gamrot in the 3rd round, dropping him, really sealing that round. And those are like career-defining moments, in my opinion, when you look at the career of Beneil Dariush. But those are also singular shots for the most part. Not so much with the Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose, he threw a couple at once that really started all of it. But you can argue it was one big shot and then it was just kind of downhill from there for Drakkar Klose. But one big shot, one singular shot in these fights are what's separating Beneil Dariush from being either behind or in a competitive fight or on the ropes. Moicano's been hurt before, but when he's been hurt, it's because guys are putting 2-3 punches together. You look at when Fiziev dropped him, and that might have even been an early stoppage when you go back and watch it, but Fiziev went body, head, head. In that fight against Drew Dober that he ended up winning, Drew Dober would throw one shot at a time, and when he would throw one shot, it's either getting blocked or Moicano's just out of range and he's fine. But then when he doubles up, either double jab, 1-2, just when he's throwing more than one strike at a time, he's finding a home almost every time. Same thing with the Jalen Turner fight, dropping him at the end of the 1st round because he threw more than one. Beneil Dariush is throwing a lot of one and done kind of strikes, looking for that big shot. Moicano's defensively sound enough to see that first shot coming, respond well. It's when you double, triple, quadruple it up, he almost goes blind to it. And I don't think that Beneil Dariush, I mean, he might be making the read, but his body might not do what it needs to do. Plus, if you look at these back-to-back 1st round knockout losses for Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, the level of competition, you get a pass for that, of course. But when you look at the finishing sequences, that's where it creates a little bit of a concern. You see that head kick from Charles Oliveira lands on the guard, and it seemed like that was the beginning of the end. Against Arman Tsarukyan, he's got both his hands up, Tsarukyan lands around the guard, hits him kind of on the ear, and that's the beginning of the end, and that leads to the finishing sequence. But he's getting hit when he's in like a defensive position, and it's still not doing enough to stop these guys from finishing him. And I know that Moicano's not known for having power or anything like that, but I think if Moicano just throws some high kicks to the guard, I think if he keeps that jab pumping, I think that he's just an underrated striker overall. I see some people online saying if he can't get the fight to the ground, he's not going to win, and you can't get the fight to the ground against Beneil Dariush. But I just don't think that's true, and I don't know how you could trust Beneil Dariush at this stage in his career, coming off of those back-to-back 1st round knockout losses. Those are both in 2023, no fights in 2024. I'm not so sure about that. It's not just getting knocked out, it's not just losing fights, it's how quickly he's getting knocked out, it's the time off. Like, that's a lot of time away from competition. If there's any kind of ring rust, it's going to be on the side of Dariush. I think that Moicano is going to come in here fresh, and even against Islam Makhachev, didn't really take any damage. So just too much time outside of the octagon and too much time in the octagon where he hasn't looked good. So I'll take money Moicano here. I think that he ends up surprising people and picking up a knockout win. Next, we have Payton Talbott fighting Felipe Lima. And listen, I'll tell you what, you go out there as a minus 1,200 favorite and lay an egg the way Payton Talbott did, They could have booked him against CM Punk this time around and he would have come in at plus money. So I don't want to look at the odds and immediately think, yeah, Felipe Lima should probably be the side. If you want to make the argument for Felipe Lima, don't look at the odds. Look at how he's more of a polished prospect, how he's been doing this for a little bit longer, how he has more ways to win. Those are all valid. But can you confidently say that there's no value on the underdog here? I don't think you can. He's the more dangerous guy of the two. He's the bigger athlete here. I know that Felipe Lima fought at 145 pounds, but still Payton Talbott is the bigger man. And if you watch the fight with Felipe Lima and Miles Johns, there's no way that you looked at that and were impressed. You definitely expected him to win, and Miles Johns is small, slow, gun shy, doesn't really commit to much, and the fight ended up looking that way on both sides. I think in this fight, if Felipe Lima isn't constantly getting takedowns, the fight won't even be close. You have the output, the speed, the power coming from Talbot. I think all of that gives him trouble. It really just comes down to, do you think that Felipe Lima can get his takedowns going here? Because we saw Hyder Barcelos do it. We know that's how you beat Payton Talbot. Even against Niko, we see Niko taking him down early, having a lot of success, and we're like, oh, okay, is this guy a fraud? But what happens in the Niko fight? Niko just gets tired, and Payton Talbot just beats him up and ends up finishing him in that fight. So if you're Payton Talbot, you watch that fight and think, okay, this guy got me down a whole lot. I got to work on that part of my game, but I still got the dub. So maybe it's not a huge issue. But you look at the fight against Hyder Barcelos, that is a way different feeling. Your first loss, you didn't have any answer for the wrestling whatsoever. And now there's 15 minutes of tape out there for your potential opponents to look at you and see, oh, okay, you get this guy on the mat, he's going to be flatter than a pancake, he's not getting back up. That's going to create a lot different of a feel during tape study when you're watching the fights back. So I think that Payton Talbot's probably been highly motivated since then to just get back in the gym, wrestle as much as possible. Really, it should just be wrestling. Until somebody outstrikes this guy, it should just be wrestling and getting back to the feet. That should be the primary concern during training camp. And we'd be crazy to think that it is. I know fans like to quickly just wash their hands with fighters when they underperform, but the guy's 26, undefeated going into his last fight against a seasoned vet and a great grappler in Hyder Barcelos. I like the dog to get back on track here, have some big moments in these rounds, do a better job of anti-wrestling this time around, and just working his way to a decision win. I think if the rounds are close because of his style versus Lima's style, I think rounds will probably go to Payton Talbot. So give me Talbot to get back on track. I'll take it by decision. Next, we're looking at a fight between Jack Hermansson and Gregory Rodrigues. Jack is back. It's been a while since we've seen him in action. We picked him to beat Joe Pyfer last time out because of his movement, his experience, his cardio. I don't mind taking a shot on him for the same reasons this week. Because to me, RoboCop's not a striker with elite footwork. I could see Jack Hermansson just skirting around the outside, using his footwork, making RoboCop chase him for a lot of this one and picking him apart from range. And it's not like you're seeing guys go out there and take Jack Hermansson down. We saw that Gregory Rodrigues tried to shut down Armen Petrosyan striking by taking him down. He ends up losing a split decision. We saw him do that against Christian Leroy Duncan successfully, a guy who's a striker, flowy, moves a lot. He was able to shut him down with his wrestling. But you don't really see guys taking down Jack Hermansson like that. If anything, I think Jack Hermansson's going to be the one looking for takedowns as well. Really test that ground game. We know that Greg Rodrigues, BJJ, world champion, all of that good stuff, whatever. I think Jack Hermansson's going to have this guy chasing him, and he's going to be shooting for takedowns. You look at the fight against Roman Dolidze, he's getting in on those hips like that, dude. And I think the third round, if it gets there, is clearly going to belong to Jack Hermansson. It's not totally because I think that Gregory Rodrigues is going to gas, but he will slow down a bit. And I think by then, Jack Hermansson will have figured him out enough through the first 10 minutes. I actually, to go a step further, think it's round one or bust for RoboCop here, because Jack Hermansson, if he does weather that early storm and get him figured out, I expect him to get a really good feel for RoboCop's timing. You notice Gregory Rodrigues doesn't cut off the cage that well. He kind of follows guys. So you look at that fight against, what's his name? Brad Tavares, for example. He's fighting Brad Tavares. Every time Brad Tavares decided to move laterally, you see him doing a lot of reaching. Like, he's moving straight and he's reaching as you see Brad Tavares going out the back door. Now, that's a weird angle, because if you are getting out of there and a guy reaches and he catches you, that's when you can get hurt. And that's really where Gregory Rodrigues can have success here, because I don't think Jack Hermansson can hurt him with his strikes, but we know that RoboCop can hurt anybody with his. But we've also seen Jack Hermansson deal with big, powerful strikers in the past. We've seen him chop guys down with the low kick. Gregory Rodrigues does not really throw a whole lot of low kicks, and Jack Hermansson does do a good job of that. Jack's a bit longer as well, so I think the jab is going to be there for him. I think he's going to make Gregory Rodrigues chase. I think he's going to disrupt his timing by keeping that jab in his face. I think he's going to chop away at that calf, and I think by the third round, you're going to see Gregory Rodrigues with one flat tire, kind of tired, and also liable for getting taken down here. And there's a chance, of course, that Jack Hermansson's not 100% with the time off, with injury, with surgery and stuff like that. But you look at anybody that RoboCop's beaten, they're not on Jack Hermansson's level. He's lost to guys who are worse than Jack Hermansson. If you want to say, oh, well, he's bigger and he's younger, he might be a little bit bigger. He's probably not actually younger. These are two 37-year-old men at least competing against one another. So I think that we're going to take Jack Hermansson at plus money. He's been good to us in the past. Wouldn't be shocked to see RoboCop go out there and get it done, but I think Jack Hermansson is just a bit more crafty than RoboCop, who's a bit just more of like brute force kind of guy. So I think Jack Hermansson gets it done. Veteran performance, wins on the scorecards, just does what he needs to do to get the dub. Next we have a fight between Hyder Amil versus Jose Delgado. This one is tough because these guys like Hyder Amil who just go out there, balls to the wall, try to take it from you against the guy in Jose Delgado who's just got a lot of natural power and speed and athleticism and youth and size and length in this matchup. It really could go either way. What Amil has going for him is that Jose Delgado has not seen a dog of this caliber. He's not seen a guy who's just going to go out there and make you pay for every second that you're in the octagon with him, and that's how Hyder Amil does it. But Hyder Amil finds himself in wars. The guy went to war with Fernie Garcia. The guy went to war with Ji Young Lee for a couple of seconds. He was eating some of the best shots William Gomis could put out there, but he just kind of fights through all of it. But I don't know if William Gomis is landing with as much pop. I'm not really sold on Ji Young Lee. Fernie Garcia was not UFC caliber. If he walks onto something against Jose Delgado, I think that bend but don't break durability that's served him to this point. He's undefeated. I can see it failing him this week. Like initially when I saw this fight, I'm like, Hyder Amil's the side. At plus money, he's going to make this kid work, but I don't think so, man. Jose Delgado's really sharp. He knows what it's like to win. He's experienced the loss before, but he's not somebody who's really been all that hurt in the octagon. He's not somebody who tends to underperform fighting out of a good gym, an ascending kind of gym. And I think guys that fight Jose Delgado are probably worried about how dangerous he is. You've got Hyder Amil who's not worried about how dangerous he is. He's going to walk into something, and I think Jose Delgado is going to hurt him. This fight definitely goes under. You should definitely take the under in this fight. That's probably one of the best bets of the week, but I think Jose Delgado is going to be the side here. Give me Jose Delgado to win this fight by knockout. Vivi Araujo, she's fighting Tracy Cortez this week. Tracy Cortez just so inactive, man, but I do think that she ends up getting back in the win column this week. She's younger. She's the better wrestler. Vivi Araujo's big, strong, powerful for the division, but I do think that she's going to gas hard while she's trying to fight off of her back, get back to her feet. And you also have to worry about her just being a little bit too confident in her grappling ability and spending too much time on her back. Tracy Cortez is smart. She's not one of these fighters that's going to waste a whole lot of time. I do think if she wants to strike in this one, she can, but I don't think she's going to waste a whole lot of time doing that when she knows what her path is. Go out there, get your takedowns, ground the older fighter here, and just kind of stay in that top position, stay safe. Vivi Araujo's going to gas out. She probably ends up picking up one of her first finishes in the UFC, maybe in like the second or third round. I could totally see that happen in this week, especially with wanting to make a statement, being out of competition for so long, and not just right now, but overall, just kind of bouts of inactivity. I think that she goes out there and really tries to put on a show and gets Vivi Araujo out of there. I see some elbows from full mount on the way. Give me Tracy Cortez by knockout or decision. We'll hedge a bit. This fight, I hate. I love and hate it at the same time because Terrance McKinney cannot be trusted. If I had a wedding cake and there was a room full of people with no arms except for Terrance McKinney, he wouldn't be the one that I asked to go carry it to the table because the man can't be trusted. The man also beats very low level competition. Now, the Matt Frivola fight, you want to say that he caught Matt Frivola, that kind of like a Cinderella story, a miracle to do that in your debut, especially against that kind of competitor. That's fine. Faraz Ziem, the best win of his career. That win is aging so well. Outside of that, though, when he gets a step up in competition, he gets knocked out. And then when they bring him back and he faces somebody who's trash, he beats them. Now he's got Viacheslav Borschev, who's got some of the worst takedown defense we've ever seen. Now, Terrance McKinney just fought Damir Hadzovic, who has literally the worst takedown defense you've ever seen. Like, Damir Hadzovic has never grappled, ever. I'm convinced. Viacheslav Borschev doesn't seem too far behind. The guy's not a good grappler, although he was defending some takedowns against Tom Nolan. And the ability to just keep moving, staying alive, anti-submission game in that fight against Chase Hooper, he was looking rough. He was getting his ass kicked, but he would not stop working. And that's the thing is, against a guy like Terrance McKinney, we've seen guys just kind of crumble. You saw Eric Gonzalez had really no answer. Mike Breeden was just scared to actually compete against this guy. Damir Hadzovic's terrible. Brandon Marmot or whatever it was, I don't even think that guy ended up competing in the UFC after that, if I'm not mistaken. He might have. I'm not even going to look it up because we saw what that fight looked like. The guy was no good. Now in this fight against Viacheslav Borschev, I think Terrance McKinney has to zoom across the cage, shoot a double leg, get on his back, and hope that that rear naked choke that he ends up getting on the mouth, on the jaw, rather than under the chin. Hope that he has a strong enough squeeze where Slava's going to tap. But this guy does not give up. This guy does not quit on himself. And that's where I think Terrance McKinney's going to run into some problems, because not only does T-Rex only have 5 minutes of cardio, but he's also Terrance McKinney at times, right? I think that as soon as Viacheslav Borschev lands on that chin, it's a wrap. And the thing about Borschev is very flowy, right? Keeps everything tight, elbows tight. So when Terrance McKinney goes and throws that big overhand or he throws that high kick, Slava's going to see it and he's going to block, and then boom, right? The body, head. And as soon as he lands to the head, Terrance McKinney's going to say, I'm good. I'll see you later. Let me get out of here. That's kind of how he operates. So for a guy like Viacheslav Borschev, who has no quit in him, to be at plus money against Terrance McKinney, you just have to take it. Give me Viacheslav Borschev by knockout. Niko Price versus, again, the love child of Corey Anderson and Aljamain Sterling. This is a joke. These are Bellator numbers. Jacobe Smith by whatever he wants, first round. Jhonata is one of the most entertaining heavyweight fighters in the UFC right now, welcoming Alvin Hines to the UFC. Let me tell you about all the tape study I did for Alvin Hines, and it don't matter because this guy is making his debut, taking this step up in competition. He's going to start seeing the hands and feet start flowing from Janice and be like, oh my God. Men this big aren't supposed to strike like that. And Janice is going to put it on him. He's going to get him out of there. I think he ends up knocking him out in the first round. Easy work for Janice. Parlay fuel of the highest order. And lastly, to start the card, you have two debutantes, which I don't mind. I think that's pretty cool, actually. I think all UFC fights, or all UFC fight cards, I should say, should start with debutantes at the bottom of the card, especially because you get odds like this, because there are a lot of unknowns. You have two guys who nobody really knows what to expect from. I'll tell you, I expected Jackson McVeigh to be the favorite here because he was favored over Cedriquez Dumas before Dumas did whatever he did to get taken out of the fight. I don't know what happened. Probably like credit card scamming or something, if I had to guess. And then you have Chris Ewert. I didn't listen to the commentary when I watched his fights back. That dude's a dog. I think the odds makers have a decent idea of how this fight is going to go, and that's why you see Chris as the favorite here, because Jackson McVeigh, very big for the division, but he moves very slowly on the feet. The guys that he's fighting don't react to anything well at all. As soon as he starts landing, they're like, nope. And maybe that's because the guys got big power. Maybe it's also because they're cans. One of the reasons why I think these guys are cans is not only because of what you see on the record, but you also see as soon as he grabs somebody's neck, they just don't even move. It's amazing. I'll go to jiu-jitsu and I'll see guys who show up for their first day of class and somebody gets them in something. They're moving right away. They probably even escape. But Jackson McVeigh starts to get his hand around somebody's neck, and these guys are just deer in the headlights. Like, okay, I'll wait for this to be over. Just ridiculous. On the other side, Ewert, whatever it is, we're going to find out right away how to say his name, but something I already know, something we don't need to find out, is this dude just bullies people. El Tanque, the tank, is his nickname. He lives up to it. You watch him fight these guys, it's all forward. He's just imposing his will, and he just has this feel about him that he wants it more than the other guy. In this fight, he's older. He has more fights under his belt. He's competed against better competition. And the thing is, he's gone the distance more than once. Jackson McVeigh has never seen a second round. Jackson McVeigh, also like Josh Van, who we talked about earlier, this guy's young, early in his career. This guy's fought 3 weeks ago. Chris Ewert was supposed to fight on Contender Series in a couple of months, so you know that he's been in camp, you know that he's been preparing, and now he comes into this one. I think he's going to be in better physical condition. I think Jackson McVeigh is going to be at a huge speed disadvantage, and I think if Jackson McVeigh does grab his neck, because the guy's got a good feel for it, especially with those long limbs, he knows how to grapple long as well as fight long. I think that if he does get Ewert in something, you're going to see frantic movement and escaping out of Ewert to get out of there. So I think that he is rightfully the favorite here. I think that he's going to go out there and knock this guy out in like the second round after Jackson McVeigh slows down. But I think taking the under in this fight is obviously the move. But give me Ewert to make good on his UFC debut. Give me Ewert inside the distance. I can't wait for the broadcast to find out that I've been saying that wrong. But that will do it for the predictions. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you later in the week for final picks. Let's go.